What's up, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Sports Picks. Brian and I are going to have a great show for you this Friday. Get you ready for the betting weekend. Brian, looking good, buddy. How we doing?
Thanks, brother. Happy Friday. I'm not doing that great, man. My picks were garbage for our listeners on Tuesday. I hope to make it up to them this weekend, and they weren't very good last night either. So I'm in a little slump, but on to the next one. Bounce back mode.
Well, you bring up an interesting point. Like, I'm, just from what I'm seeing and just the general reaction, I've got a pretty good pulse, social media wise. Like, I see a lot of people that are having a tough time, like me included, right? Like, when the playoffs get here, man, it's tight. I mean, totals are tight, spreads are tight, and that's what makes it so much fun. But yeah, man, like, it's difficult, but we got some good ones today, man. We're going to break it down. We're going to get back to winning. And yeah, everybody, welcome in A to Z Sports Picks. I'm Alan Bell, CBS Sportsline, alongside Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com. A to Z Sports Picks is brought to you every Tuesday and Friday by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Everybody, make sure to download that BetMGM app. If you do, use promo code A to Z 100. And if you make today a $1 money line wager on any NBA team playing tonight, if either of those teams in that game hit a three-pointer, you win $100 in free bets. Literally the easiest way to make money. Make sure to do it. Download the app, BetMGM, the king of sports books. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years or older. Must be present in the state of Tennessee. For gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So, Brian, like I said, man, it's good to see you. We got a great sports weekend, a ton of playoff games, and really, the last couple of weeks we've had these, playoffs beginning, but we've had a lot of other things kind of going on. We've had UFC fights, we've had horse races, etc., things like that. This weekend is all about the playoffs. Like, we have a NASCAR race and some Major League Baseball, but other than that, I mean, it's all NBA, all NHL. It's going to be fantastic. And how I want to start really is just breaking that down, man. Like, let's jump into the games that we have for this weekend. And, as we take a look at what we have today, we've got first game up, I believe, the Knicks at the Hawks. Last I saw, the Hawks were a 4.5-point favorite. That series is tied 1-1. What are you seeing so far? We've really seen two great games, and we're transitioning down to Atlanta here for game 3.
Yeah, and I think that the State Farm Arena, formerly known as Phillips, some call it the Highlight Factory, I think it's going to be popping, just maybe not when the Garden's popping. The Garden's on another level, but I think it'll be loud in Atlanta tonight. And Atlanta has been nasty at home down the stretch. They've won 11 in a row at home, going 9-2 against the spread. And 9 of those 11 wins have come by 9 points or more. And you're right, Alan. The line is yesterday it was 3.5 or 4, but now it's pretty steady at 4.5. I feel like I saw a couple of 5s this morning, but right now it's 4.5 across the board, including our friends over at BetMGM. And back to the Hawks at home, like I said, 11 in a row, 9-2 against the spread. But going back further, the Hawks are 19-2 straight up and 17-4 against the spread in their last 21 home games. And Nate McMillan, since he took over as interim head coach, he's basically made no mistakes. And I've been pretty much betting on Atlanta every game. And I got the package this year, and I'm a Hawks fan, and we're good for the first time in many years. So I've been watching a lot of the games, and I have not had any beef or nothing with I've disagreed with Nate McMillan, but I thought he made a mistake. The Hawks were in control of that game. They put Trey down late third like they always do. And I get Lou Williams had a really good game in game 1. He actually was 6 of 9 from the field with 2 assists and no turnovers. And but he just didn't have his A game on what night was that? Wednesday. And I just thought he waited too long to go back to Trey. I think he took Trey out. We were up by 4, maybe 5. And when by the time he went back to Trey, he called timeout with 8:34 left. We were down by 10. Yeah, I thought he waited back in, rallied, and tied the game. But then we went cold. I don't think we made a basket from the field last 4 minutes. But I think Atlanta
I think we lost Brian there. I'll continue
back tonight.
Yeah. Brian, you with us? We're getting you in and out.
The Hawks, my half. I don't know. How about now?
Yep. Well, I think we got you. Yeah. So
Nope.
you like the Hawks -4.5. Yeah. It's interesting, in terms of Trae Young and, his minutes the other night. It felt like he was out, just a couple too much. Right. But I'm interested to see, what his minutes look like tonight. I'm just interested to see what it looks like back in Atlanta, for the first game, down there in that series. Obviously, Madison Square was rocking, like you said, for games 1 and game 2. It's going to be that way for Atlanta in game 3. This has just been an awesome series. Like I've really enjoyed it so far. It's been a lot of fun. The next game that we have on tonight, we've got the Nets at the Celtics. All right. So we've got Brooklyn, I believe an 8.5-point favorite. The last I looked. They lead the series 2-0. They're in Boston tonight. Is there anything that you see, that you think that Boston, can kind of, get back right in this series? I know that before, kind of leading into the playoffs when we were in the play-in games, talking about the Celtics, of what they've gone through this year in terms of injuries. Is there anything that tells you tonight that you should back Boston, or are we just riding Brooklyn, all the way through?
Well, it is a big number. I hope my internet's okay now.
Yeah, you're good.
Decent?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And Richter scale, I don't know what net zero internet is, but yeah, I guess it's not working great. But, man, Boston looks like they have no life, man, without Jaylen Brown, and Tatum hasn't played well, and it's tough for him. It's tough for him without Jaylen there. Now, the crowd maybe gives them some spark, but even Kemba Walker's listed as questionable with that knee. Surely he'll play, but I mean, right now he's listed as questionable. And I know it's a big number, but I definitely think it's Brooklyn or pass. And I'm going to go with Brooklyn in the first half -3.5. That's my play, and I'm going to have them in a money line parlay that we'll get to later. But I definitely think it's Brooklyn or pass. The Celtics just don't. Maybe they find life with the crowd, but because the crowd will be hyped because they want to get after Kyrie with his comments. So we'll see. But I just don't see the Celtics recovering here.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's tough to have faith in them, again. And I think Brad Stevens has done about as best of a job as he could. Like, you were talking about, the Hawks, and their head coach. Brad Stevens is doing what he can, but they're just overmatched. Brooklyn's a better team. So I like that first half play. The last game that we have tonight, and again, we've got 3 NBA games. We've got 2 teams on the road that are favorites. And in the third one, we've got the Clippers, I believe a 2.5-point favorite at Dallas. Now it's interesting because the Mavericks lead the series 2-0, and we're going to Dallas, but we've got the Clippers, a small favorite, obviously 2.5 there. Is there any reason to ride the Clippers here? Because, the Mavericks have shown that they're the better team so far, and you're getting them at home, and you're getting them, in an underdog favor. Is there anything that tells you to play the Clippers, or really just to get off Dallas?
Yeah, I think surely the Clippers bow up and have a good performance tonight. Surely they do. I think it's Clippers or pass. But I don't want to go against Luka Doncic, Mr. Luka, the great Doncic right now. He is playing so well. I think it's Clippers or pass. But look, we don't have to bet it, and I'm not going to bet it. I'm going to pass. I think if there's a game on the board to pass, or maybe wait and watch a little bit and maybe look for something in game, I think this is the one. You would think the Clippers, they are so in desperation mode. They absolutely have to win this game. You think they would, but I just don't want to fade Luka, so it's a pass for me.
Yep, I'm with you there. I looked at this game all day today, and look, I was trying to find any angle on the spread, money line, total. Like, there was nothing that pointed me in any, strong direction either way. So I'm with you. I just stayed off of it because, like you said, I don't want to fade Luka at all. Same way last night with Jokic. Like, these guys could just take over, and weirdly, watching the game last night between, Denver and Portland, Portland kept hitting threes, when they were down 8 or 9, with like a minute left, and they were kind of getting themselves in somewhat of an area to like make it interesting with about 20 seconds left. And Jokic just took over, literally had like 2 rebounds off of a missed free throw and just put it in. He looked like a grown man playing against, kids at the Y, right? Like, so I'm with you. It's just tough to fade those guys. I'm staying away from it. In the NHL, we only have one game tonight. We've got the Wild at Vegas, the Golden Knights. It's Game 7. And to be quite frank, I'm playing this game, and I'll explain it more here in a little bit, but I'm riding the total. The total is set at 5. Vegas is the money line favorite in this one, but I don't really trust either team. It's going to be a fantastic game. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be an awesome game. But again, it's kind of like that Clippers Mavericks. Like, I have just no opinion whatsoever in terms of that, but I am going to ride that total, and I'll get to that in just a second. Also, we got the Braves at the Mets tonight. And I'll break that one down here in just a minute as well, because they're part of my parlay coming up today. So Saturday, we'll run through these really quickly and we'll get to our bets. But, we got the Bucks at the Heat. Bucks lead that series 3-0. We got the Nuggets at the Trailblazers. Nuggets lead that one 2-1. 76ers at the Wizards. Philly leads 2-0. Like, I feel like that series, like, nobody's talking about it at all. I'd love your thoughts on this one. Like, where do we feel on this? Because it literally feels like every other series is getting way much more attention. Is Philly just going to run through this one? Do we see Washington coming back tonight? Getting back in it? Like, what are your thoughts on this series as a whole? I think you're on mute.
Well, Washington has been so good to me against the spread down the stretch. However, with Westbrook, I know he didn't practice today. So, I think he'll give it a go tomorrow, but that looked like a pretty bad ankle sprain, or he turned it bad. So maybe he's not at 100%. And I think if he's not at 100%, I think they're dead. Right now, it looks like Philadelphia or pass, even though Washington's been so good to me against the spread. If Russell can play and Beal has a big game, they can certainly cover and maybe steal a win. But I thought they would give Philadelphia trouble. They did cover in Game 1, but they got blown out in Game 2, and it's not looking good.
Yeah, and I think the 76ers
at all. It's kind of looking like the Brooklyn series.
Yeah, like that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, 5.5 at most. Looks like you're
good. Go ahead, Brian.
So yeah, it's 5.5 when Westbrook didn't practice earlier today. So it looks like Philadelphia passed for me in that one.
Yeah. So, and then, ending Saturday, in the NBA playoffs, we got the Jazz at Memphis at the Grizzlies. Jazz look to be 5-point favorites right now. That series is 1-1. NHL Saturday, Maple Leafs at Canadians. That series is 3-2. Islanders at Bruins, Game 1. The Braves and the Mets again. And just to end it, Sunday, Knicks at Hawks, Suns at Lakers, Nets at Celtics, Clippers at Mavericks, Braves at Mets, and we've got a NASCAR Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte as well. So it's going to be a good weekend. But we've talked enough about that. Let's get into some picks. So, Brian, I'm going to kick it to you here. What we do every Friday. Now we're doing our special playoff parlay. So you've got all the playoff games this weekend. Take a look. Let us know what's your parlay. What are you hitting?
Okay, we're going to go with a 4-game money line parlay. We're going to start it tonight with Brooklyn. All these prices are at our friends at BetMGM. Brooklyn minus 360 to win outright at Boston in Game 3. Then we're going to go to tomorrow. We're going to go with Milwaukee to get the brooms out on Miami. Milwaukee minus 195. Dante DiVincenzo is out for the rest of the playoffs, but Miami looks dead. Looks like they've mailed it in. Utah, I'm going to go with them minus 210 at Memphis with Donovan Mitchell back. And then we're going to close it out with the Lakers minus 260 versus Phoenix. That's a Sunday afternoon Game 4. And that will pay plus 295 and 11 cents if you're being exact. So now let me repeat it. Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Utah, and the Lakers. Now, if we hit the first 3 legs, you'll have the option of maybe coming back with the Suns at plus 6.5, and maybe you can hit them both. And if the Lakers don't win outright, if the Suns win, maybe save yourself a little bit, hedge it where you can get a profit.
Yep, I like it. So my parlay, and this is going to bleed into our next segment. We're talking about the local teams here, the local locks. But I've got a 3-leg parlay. all today. The first one we just talked about, the Wild at the Golden Knights. I'm going with the over of 5. And the reason being is this. It's a game 7. Both teams are going to come out aggressive. We're going to see very similar kind of to what we saw with the Predators and Hurricanes. Obviously, that was a game 6, but still, it's going to be kind of that same feel to it. Vegas 53% to the over this season after a day off, and Wild are 60% to the over when playing on the road. So I'm going to ride that with it sitting at 5 before it kind of bleeds up to 5.5. I'm going to take that. The second game, I've got the Braves money line against the Mets tonight. Now it sits about 160, but here's the thing: we played it last Friday, and as luck turns out, we have the exact same scenario that we do this Friday. So we've got Ian Anderson on the mound. We talked about. Last Friday, they were 6-2 when he starts. They won 20-1. So the Braves are 7-2 when Ian Anderson starts. Plus, the Braves are 5-2 when playing on a Friday. I don't know what it is about them playing it Friday or on Friday, but I've been riding it. It's been working. I'm not going to go against it. The one thing, and we'll talk about this more in just a second, the one thing that you do have to watch out for is Citi Field. There's going to be some kind of nasty weather up there tonight in New York. So you're going to see a very low total. I think that it's 6.5, 7, somewhere around there. This could be a low scoring game, or it could be high scoring. I mean, Major League Baseball, it's so random at times, but again, be careful of that. And I got some stats on that as well. And then to end out the parlay, I'm taking the Kansas City Royals plus 1.5. The Royals are 100% straight up this year when Chris Bubick starts, and Minnesota, the Twins, they're 37% straight up this season after a day off. I think that Kansas City wins this game outright, but I'm going to take the juice since it's in a parlay and ride that plus 1.5. So again, my parlay is a 3-legger, pays out plus 370. I've got the Wild at Golden Knights over 5. I've got the Braves money line, and I've got the Royals plus 1.5. So that brings us right into our local lock segment. And really what we're going to do is focus, honestly, on 2 teams, the Atlanta Braves and the Memphis Grizzlies. So like I just said, we got the Braves at the Mets tonight starting their series. I've got some interesting stats I think you'll like. The Braves are 17-0 in the first game of a series with rest as a favorite when they're off a loss in which they held the lead before the All-Star break. Talk about a Major League Baseball stat right there. What I was talking about with Citi Field, the under is 14-2-3 this year at Citi Field. So again, that's just in regular conditions. There could be some nasty wind, nasty weather out there tonight. So be careful if you're playing that total. You're going to see something really, really low. And again, I'm not saying that it can't hit, but just be careful with it. Also, and Brian, I'm going to kick this over to you. We've got the Jazz at the Grizzlies Saturday. So just a couple notes, and then I want to hear, your breakdown of the game. The Grizzlies, man, they're 15-5 against the spread after a loss by 10 points or more. Also, they're 63% against the spread as an underdog. Like, those 2 stats alone, this team, there really isn't much quit in them. Now, don't be wrong. They're going up against a monster in Utah, and when Utah's on, they're on. They could go as far as they want to. But break this game down for us, man. It's on Saturday night. What are your thoughts here? You riding the Grizz? You riding the Jazz? What do you think?
So, you mentioned they're 63% as underdogs this year. They're even better than that here recently. They're 17-6 against the spread with 11 outright wins. Their last 23 as underdog. Memphis at home this year, 19-18 straight up, 20-16 against the spread. Whereas Utah on the road, 21-15 straight up, 18-18 against the spread. I was very impressed. I mean, Memphis, they played Friday on the road to get in the playoffs. Then, they win outright in game 1, and then they fall down by 25, and they kept battling, and they were dealing with all kind of foul trouble. Dylan Brooks's minutes were limited because of foul trouble. Who else was in foul trouble? Valanciunas they had 3 guys in foul trouble, and yet they fought back and got to within. Did they ever cut it to single digits? I know they got it to 11 or 12 several times.
I think it was 8. I think it was 8 at one point.
Yeah, 8 or 9. And which was important because the spread had gone up to 10, and they actually, had a shot there late to cover the spread. So they ended up losing by 12, but that was on a night Utah shot the lights out, got Donovan Mitchell back. The crowd was rocking. They were in desperation mode, down 0-1. But even with that, and John Morant went off, and Dylan Brooks is playing really well. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about Memphis. They have looked great. Really for the last 8 or 9 games. But with Donovan Mitchell back, that Utah team we saw 2 nights ago looked like the team that was winning by double digits pretty much every night and covering huge numbers in January, February, and early mid-March. Now, they kind of slowed down against the spread. The odds makers were jacking the lines up, and the covering ATS streak kind of ended there mid-March to mid-April, and then Mitchell got hurt. But the team I saw 2 nights ago looked like that team in January, February, and early mid-March, and so I can't turn down Utah at this inexpensive price. I got to go Utah -5. And for a smaller amount, I'm going to go over 224, man. I mean, these teams have been lighting it up offensively. I know it's a higher total than we were dealing with in games 1 and 2, but I'm going to have a small play on the over because last game they played to about 40, 30, 270. So I'll go over again as the over's hit in the last 3 for Memphis.
I like it. And let me just kind of reiterate to everybody, if you haven't downloaded that BetMGM app, make sure you do it right now. And when you do, use promo code A2Z100. If you put down a $1 money line bet on any NBA team tonight, any of them, if either of those teams in that game hit a three-pointer, you win $100 worth of free bets. It's literally that simple. Make sure download that app if you haven't done it. I've done it before. I've used these promo codes. They're fantastic. And quite honestly, BetMGM, at least speaking locally here in Tennessee, like they are hitting you with a ton of, all kinds of different free bets, boosts, etc. I really do love, like, not even, their inclusion in this show. It's a fantastic app. It really is. So if you haven't done it, make sure to download that right now. Now, before we get to our last segment, we're going to talk a little college football here. Brian, run us back through your parlay. What are you playing this weekend? What are the odds? I think you had 4 teams on the money line, right?
Yep, 4 money line favorites. We're going to go Brooklyn -360 tonight at Boston, then Milwaukee -195 at Miami tomorrow, Utah -210 at Memphis tomorrow, and the Lakers -260 at home to Phoenix on Sunday afternoon, 3:35 p.m. Eastern tip. The parlay pays +295. And good luck, everybody. I hope it's going to win.
I love it. I love it. Now, in our final segment today, we do want to talk a little college football. If you look, we just speak it up, the BetMGM app, they've released all kinds of different college football win totals, et cetera, things like that. So, as we've been talking, the last few shows, like football's, we're less than 100 days. I think we're like 98 days, 97 days, somewhere around from the start of college football. So with those totals being announced, Brian, you found a few that were interesting to you. Run us through what you saw. Break them down for us. Who are you looking at? What did you like?
Okay, first off, the Athlon mags are out, everybody. You can probably get those at your local grocery store or certainly bookstore, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, what have you. I'm going to go with a week 1 line, and then I'm going to go with a season win total. First, the week 1 line. Our friends at BetMGM, you can go on the app right now and bet it right now. And I suggest you do so because BetMGM has LSU -2 at UCLA in week 1. I know that multiple books out in Vegas have this line at 3.5. So I think it's very important you get it at less than 3 because I think it's going to be above 3, perhaps several points above 3 by the time we get to week 1. And then you maybe can hedge back with UCLA a little bit. LSU wins by a field goal, hit both. But I think LSU is going to win by more than that. Look, LSU was kind of a perfect storm for them to have an offseason last year. They lost 14 players, got drafted. Then before the season, Jamar Chase opts out. They had several D linemen opt out. And, things just went bad. However, they've recruited great. And Miles Brennan got hurt after he played really well the first 3 weeks. He gets hurt, and the rest of the season, you're playing true freshman quarterbacks. Although Max Johnson played well down the stretch. Now, TJ Finley, he's got the big arm. He saw he was the odd man out with Miles Brennan coming back, so he's transferred to Auburn. But with Max Johnson and Miles Brennan, I think you've got 2 solid quarterbacks for LSU. Now, UCLA lost 4 one-possession games last year, but they still went 3-4 last year. They still have been a disaster under Chip Kelly. I think they will be better. They've got 19 starters back on 19 starters back total, 10 on offense. And I think their returning production is giving them a lot of street cred or value with the odds makers. And maybe that they will be better in the Pac-12, not against LSU. This game will be won in the trenches. LSU is far superior on both offensive and the defensive line, and I love LSU -2. As for Boston College, I like their season win total to go over 7, and it's mainly because of Phil Dracovic. I love the quarterback, a transfer from Notre Dame. He had a hell of a year last year. Zay Flowers might be the best wide receiver in the ACC unless Justin Ross is back healthy. But the main thing is the schedule. They play Colgate, at UMass, at Temple. That should be 3-0 out of the gate. The only game that looks unwinnable is at Clemson, and they played Clemson very tough last year, only losing 34-28 and had the lead for a good chunk of that game. They get NC State, Virginia Tech, and FSU and Wake all at home. I think Boston College wins 8 or 9 games this year, so I like that win total over 7. So LSU -2 and Boston College win total over 7.
I like it, my man. I like it. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Sure do appreciate everybody tuning in. And again, on social media, Twitter, Facebook, wherever, let us know what your parlays are today, this weekend, your picks, everything that you're playing. Seriously, let us know. We want to know what you're playing. Hey, if you've got winners, if you're got a streak that you've got going, let us know about that. Also, I'll say this when talking about streaks, the Chicago White Sox against left-handed pitchers, like we've talked about this, dude, it just keeps rolling. Like, it's phenomenal, man. So I'm telling anybody out there, find the White Sox when they're going up against a left-handed pitcher, especially if they're on the road. It's just phenomenal what they've accomplished. But yeah, everybody, let us know what you're playing, what you're picking, and seriously, let's go. Let's cash some tickets this weekend. I feel everybody is in the proper time and place to hit some bets this weekend. It feels right. So yeah, good luck, everybody. Let's cash some tickets.